Windows 7 has finally been released to manufacturing, which means manufacturers will now have the finished code in their hands to install on computers and get ready for packaging and all those things leading up to the October launch of the operating system. While we're waiting, we're of course anticipating what's going to happen, and we're comparing it to past failures of Vista specifically. So what does Microsoft need to do to get things right? Let's bring in a couple technology journalists to talk about what they need to do. First, we bring in Doug Aamoth from CrunchGear.com. Doug, thanks for being with us. I totally messed up your name.
You almost got it. You almost got it.
Let's say it for all of our listeners so they know too.
Aamoth.
Doug Aamoth from
But
CrunchGear.
I'm not a diva about it, remember.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want any special treatment.
He keeps it real. We also have Rich DeMuro, who is the newest contributor to TechVi. Rich, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. You got my name right.
Yeah, I got your name right? Finally, after like 2 years of working with you. So let's talk for a second about Windows 7. It's been anticipated for as long as Vista's been out, since it had so many problems. Now, Doug, you say that we talked before the show that you've been using this as your primary operating system, and we've seen release candidates and betas for months now. What are some of the things that Microsoft has done right and that they need to continue doing right so that this doesn't become another Vista disaster launch?
It's kind of a weird thing because I like Windows 7. I like it a lot more than Vista. I did not care for Vista, but once you really scratch the surface, it's not really all that different from Vista. It does indeed feel like a service pack to Vista, or an upgrade to Vista. It's just a lot. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more stable. The look and feel is nice, but it's not radically different from Vista, except for the fact that it's stable and it runs a lot smoother on lower end machines.
Except for the fact that it actually works. It's actually
exactly, which is kind of important.
Yeah, exactly. So Doug, I mean, are you going to recommend that people upgrade to this, or is this something where you're still like wait and see a little bit?
I would recommend, like, as a consumer buying a new computer, I think people are going to be happy with Windows 7, whereas a lot of regular consumers weren't too pleased with Vista. So I think people in general will be happy with Windows 7 when it comes preloaded on machines. I'm most interested to see what happens with businesses, because they were really wary about upgrading their machines to Vista, and most of them ended up not doing that. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not companies and businesses will upgrade their old XP machines to Windows 7. Now, that being said, there's really not, like, I'm reviewing a couple of netbooks right now that have XP loaded on them.
Yeah.
There's really nothing I can do on Windows 7 that I can't do on XP as a regular consumer.
It's interesting though that it's been how long since XP has been out, and there's still nothing that's radically different. Rich, now we looked at Vista's launch, and they had a lot of pomp and circumstance. They had people dangling on the sides of buildings making Windows logos, and all these really big launch events for Vista, which turned out to be a massive flop. Now, from marketing and kind of things surrounding it, is there anything you see that Microsoft needs to get right this time so that they don't drop the ball again?
Well, I know they can't say, hey, upgrade to this because we really messed up on the last one, but you'll really want this one. So they can't say that, and they need to stay away from that sort of mindset. They really need to sell it on why people need to upgrade this. And it's kind of weird because it seemed like you heard about Windows 7 like immediately after Vista came out. So I think there's a little bit of backtracking here that they just need to say, hey, look, it's going to be faster, it's going to run better on these newer machines, it's going to be an all-around better experience for you both as consumers. And for businesses, I think the important part is that it's going to work better for your machines, and it's going to be a better system than Vista was, because like Doug said, really no company's upgraded to Vista, and this is really a lot of money that Microsoft is losing there.
It's so funny to think that that's really where Microsoft's bread and butter is in this business market, where there are millions and millions and millions of machines being doled out to workers who really have no choice with their IT budgets. Rich, I mean, is that really, do you think the sole point that they could drive home is IT customers, like this is your operating system that is better than Vista?
I think that's probably the most important thing for Microsoft at this point, because consumers, look, if you're a consumer, for me personally, I'm always going to upgrade to the new thing. I always want the latest and the greatest. So I think consumers are either going to do that or they're not. I think a lot of consumers did stay away from Vista because XP is working just fine, maybe have an older computer. So for consumers, it's going to be twofold. It's going to be they get a new system, or they're sort of the person that always wants the new thing, and of course they're going to upgrade. But I think the businesses were really the ones that held back on Vista, and I think it's going to be really important for them to upgrade to Windows 7. Microsoft has to say, hey, look, this thing is stable, it's going to run better, it's going to work with everything, and it's just going to be an overall better experience. Because let's face it, people are running an operating system now that's what, going on 8 years old or something like that?
It's the better part of a decade for sure. Doug, any parting shots, any final thoughts about your take on Windows 7, anything people should know that they might not necessarily know?
I can tell you off the record, well, I guess
off the record that's being recorded.
Wait, no, don't. I can tell you that someone at Microsoft that I happen to be personal friends with told me off the record that internally the company has admitted its mistakes. They've been said, like, we really screwed up on Vista, and they've really been working hard on Windows 7. And he was like, the whole attitude around there has changed. Like it used to be Microsoft could do no wrong, and even if they did wrong, they didn't really have to admit it. They could kind of
because they have lots of money, so they could pretend like they did no wrong, and people wouldn't know any better.
I'm pretty sure that was just all on the record.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna. I just won't name his name, but I can say.
Gotcha.
But he said, I got the feeling that Vista was a big enough problem for Microsoft, a big enough screw up that they were like, they took a step back and said, we really need to hit a grand slam with Windows 7. And I like Windows 7 so far. I think consumers are going to like it, but it's going to be businesses, IT departments, companies that have custom software that works really well on XP. That's going to be the thing to watch to see if businesses will actually upgrade to Windows 7. If Microsoft can give them a good reason to do that.
Be interesting.
And
for
real
sure.
quick, the pricing thing and the different versions, I think Microsoft is really going to drop that one of these days, because it seems like for the consumer, the home end user, why do you want to sit at Staples or Office Depot or Best Buy and look at 8 different software boxes and try to figure out which one is right for you? You have the pricing is a little too much for me, I think, still for the average consumer, especially if you didn't upgrade to Vista, or if you did upgrade to Vista, it's even more expensive.
Yeah. It's like a kick in the
now
pants.
You're piling it on top of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Insult to injury there.
Yeah.
So, at this point, it might be easier just to buy a new computer, and that's sort of what Microsoft is saying for the average consumer is, you know what, just get a new computer with Windows 7 pre-installed on it.
Give it a shot. We'll see what happens.
Maybe Microsoft should send out Windows 7 on a CD or DVD like AOL used to send discs out every day, and you load it up and say, if you want to keep it, it's going to cost you $130 bucks.
Perfect. That's I think
the other
the best.
thing. You can download it, so it's like all that distribution cost is now taken away, but yet the price is still sort of at the same price point as the previous versions.
Yeah, we'll see if they can actually innovate and fix something. Anyway, guys, we're going to leave it there. We're out of time. Again, Doug Aamoth, one more time. I'm never going to get it right.
You'll get it one day. It's Aamoth.
Aamoth. It's the problem.
Aamoth.
Aamoth. Doug Aamoth from CrunchGear.com. Yeah. I'm sure he has a personal blog that's called mynameishardtosay.com.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
It's .net. But.
Also, Rich DeMuro, who's our newest contributor for TechVi. He's doing a show called The Five. It launches Friday. If you're watching this any day but Thursday, you can check it out. techvi.com/The5. I'm Randall Bennett, and you can subscribe to this show or any show, including The Five, on iTunes, so you'll be able to check that out. Also, we're on YouTube. We're everywhere, so make sure you get a hold of us somewhere. See you later.